And Mark, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight?
Sure.
Thank you.
Closest. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What? How about that Pope?
Very good.
Well, here's our bride for the night.
Planning Board meeting, Thursday night, September 24th. Agenda. First item on our agenda was a 694, 724 Great Road. The speaker will arrive a little late, so we're going to postpone that till later. 735, Tehadawon Road, lot line revisions. Since it's not 735 yet, Maren, do you have bills to pay?
Yep, bills and payrolls right there.
Planes to catch? I did. You learned to walk?
You did what?
Caught a plane.
Caught a plane?
Sometimes you go.
I was down in Florida.
You'll have to.
Okay. Yeah, I was
We have a full house, I see, here tonight.
Little
I went down to check on my planning. The guy down
They say that our ratings are among the highest in town.
I was down for 3 or 4 days. I'm gonna go down
The
in
TV
October.
ratings.
Oh, that's good. That's,
You like that?
yeah, it is funny.
Long since retired.
Yeah, but
Preemptive signing?
I thought something had to be changed on that. Which one's that one for?
looking at it.
Should I see if there's any crazy laws?
No. Let her, I didn't even know it was coming.
Michael, I'll just get out there.
Wait.
Maren, I understand you're away and you're back.
Yep,
You had a good time, I hope.
I did, thank you very much.
Good. Any board member input while we're waiting for the 7:35?
Well, I'm the butter right here, so I don't think I should be weighing in on it. I own lot 36. I own 36 Tehadawon.
Okay, did I give you 36? Well, the other one out.
You too?
Oh, that one's later.
And what is exactly you doing here?
You got a different drawing than we do.
Yeah,
You do?
I pulled out 2 different ones.
Oh, which?
Is that the same?
No, it's just A&R. It's the same one you wrote. The same one.
36.
The same one.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The same.
Well, we can look.
What's in this?
Thank you.
That's just vanilla and...
I wouldn't have known stopping. It would have hurt.
Do we have an old plan of what exists?
I can walk you through what it used to be.
So what's that? I mean,
I don't know what she's doing.
there's no red line version?
No, there's nothing. I think they're just moving that line there.
Well, it looks like
Yeah,
we are at
it's close
6:35, or
Fire away.
7:35. Sarah, do you want to?
Mr. Chair, Cheryl Gould from Michael Kimball. I was asked to present this because the engineer knew I was going to be here anyway, so
Great.
I'm not sure I know everything, but I think I can tell you what's going on. This originally was a 3-lot subdivision. The center property was the home of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and they created a lot to the left and a lot to the right and a common driveway scheme through this board for sale to one owner, and the 3 lots subsequently been sold to one owner. Mr. Kimball is the abutter to the rear, I would call it the northeasterly corner at the rear there. And when he saw that there were going to be houses surrounding his estate up there on Wilderness Road, he wanted to try to get some buffer zone. So he first partnered or asked Mr. Moran and Mr. Montanari if they would be interested in buying any of it. So Mr. Montanari has since bought the center property as the Smiths. Mr. Moran has bought this lot, let's see, 3A?
Yep.
Lot 3A. And then he negotiated with them to purchase from them a strip across the back to give him some more buffer, which we came in and did with you about a month, 2 months ago.
That's right.
And then Mr. Kimball kept lot 1B, and I think it's his intention to sell that as a building lot. But all of the septic testing and everything was done at the top half of that lot nearest to the Mr. Kimball property. So now that he's the owner of it, he went in and he retested and he sited a septic system down lower and closer to the street. So what he's trying to do now is to take that parcel Y, which is no longer necessary either for your density regulations or for this lot because he's moved the septic closer to the street, and annex the parcel Y to his property as well. This is just to create a little buffer around the Kimball property for no other reason. So parcel Y is not a building lot, and parcel 1B ends up being a building lot that he will then develop and sell.
So he's taking the third lot and splitting it into 2 lots, is that it?
Well, it's a lot and a parcel. It's not 2 lots. It doesn't have frontage for 2 lots, Mr. Crowley.
Oh.
So parcel Y ends up being noted. Parcel Y is not a buildable lot. Parcel Y will be annexed or adjoined to the abutting land of Kimball, and it's noted right on the plan. Parcel 1B remains a building lot.
This goes with that. Parcel Y is going to be included to parcel X. That's the lot he owns.
And parcel X is part of the Kimball land, which is now annexed to the Kimball property.
Oh. That's it?
That's it.
So it's the little Y, so he's just creating creating lot lines within his own lot.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
He has a right to do that,
Yeah, that's correct.
yeah.
Is the new line going to be the dotted line, S,
No, the new line is
The north.
the solid line?
north
solid
5
line.
to 10 east, 258.78 feet in length. See it?
Yeah.
That's the new back lot line of lot 1B. Nothing else changed with that back lot line.
And that whole piece used to be Lot 3.
That, I don't know what it was labeled before with, I think that was actually 1.
One, yes.
That whole piece was 1, the Smith house was 2,
Two.
and the Moran property is 3.
Do you have any more to say on this?
No?
Does any member of the board have any comment or anything like this? Peter, Ed?
He has a right to do it within his own land.
Yeah, this is a subdivision, this is a lot line, creating a lot line within an overall lot. He's actually moving it around, so I have no issue with it. What is the
Make a motion to accept.
pleasure of the board? We have a motion
Second?
and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Is that enough for you verbally to?
I abstained. I didn't vote no.
Yeah. Do we want to sign all these?
No.
If you could sign 2 of those, that'd be helpful.
Okay. Mark, do you want to use yours for the second, or do you want to keep that?
Never seen it.
Sign 3.
So we don't,
Jerry, you want to sign those other two?
we don't do, we don't hook in anymore with lines. We just do screen mirroring, and all the monitors and all. Yeah, they redid the whole office.
Wow, cool.
So you hit a button, and it just pops. It just pops right on.
And we are right on target. The
Keep to the
point,
schedule. Stick to
Seven-
the code.
7:40 PM.
How much time does that give him?
Update on the point?
Let's get moving.
He's got 20 minutes here. You're under pressure.
All right, no problem.
Have handouts?
What's that?
Handouts, PowerPoints?
No, we're gonna do high technology here and be on the screen, so.
That's great. And this will all be, do you have a downloadable version of this that can be?
I do, I'll
posted?
email it to Maren, and Maren, don't forget I did bring hard copies, so at least I can
Good.
hand you what you look at. Okay, the digital, so.
That way we can keep it on our
Daylight's
our
burning.
website too.
Okay. So,
First name?
sure, Timothy Power.
And?
With Land Strategies, representing Littleton Commercial Investments and The Point. Here for an update and to clarify some questions about signage and the approvals we had in place. So I'm going to do the update first because I think everyone likes to know. So the picture on the screen is one you may have seen before, the 3D rendering, and I just would like to show the real thing. That's very close. I almost wish this was a month later because we would have a lot more of the amenities in place. There's a trellis going right almost central focus to that picture. The stairs in the backgrounds are nearing completion, and they should be completed in the next couple weeks. This is how the detailed design ended up. I think it's a pretty good example of our history meets technology, that you have a sort of the large block flat face, but then we have some local stone and granite for the actual stairs blended together. So just to the right of the tree and in front of the block wall will actually be outdoor patio seating for one of the restaurant tenants right on the corner of the building on the left. So
Patio, nice.
there'll be some activity there once that opens.
That's a rendering.
This is the real thing.
It's a picture.
The stairs are in?
Stairs are in. They're almost done. You can see the zoom in some of the equipment in the middle there.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Light poles.
But, that's going in. So that's
I was
really
going
you
to say,
can
that's a
go.
pretty good
You
rendering.
can go look. Yeah, it's close. So I guess I wanted to suggest too that perhaps in a few weeks or about a month, some of these other tenants will open, and might be a good time for a site walk because all of these level 1 improvements will be complete. Some of the features up on the level 2 will be complete, so it might be a good time for a site walk to see what's happening there. But
Pre-Thanksgiving.
pre-Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yep.
Be-
Late October, November, early November.
See if we can schedule that with Maren.
Sure.
Let the selectmen know too.
Sure. Coming online in October are another handful of tenants. Moe's Southwest Grill will be opening. They're actually the restaurant on the corner in the picture you're looking at. The paper store we expect to open in October. Pet store, Pet Source will be opening. Great Clips on the second level. And then two of the bigger full-service restaurants are moving in and starting their work. One is the Great Road Kitchen on the second level, and the other one is the Asian concept Las Kaya with the hibachi tables. They may take a little longer. We're hoping they'll be in and open by the end of the year. The Great Road Kitchen actually was pushing to be open in November, but he's got a lot of work, so but he's pushing hard to be open. So.
What type of food will that serve?
That's our, he's a chef-centric concept, so hopefully steak and seafood. I think he's going to do a raw bar and whatnot that sort of reaches to the outside, so in the warmer weather you can have the raw bar right out front, so.
That's great.
Lots of flies.
Lots of flies. Well, hopefully everyone will eat the oysters, so it'll get everything out of there quick. Got the shell, but. The other piece of the elements here, obviously the staircase, we're going to have a fire pit up on the second level just at the end of this staircase. hopefully operational, and the trellis. So all the amenities putting in here, it's you know, and the architecture on the buildings that we've done. It's probably the most expensive amenities plan that Sam Parking Company has taken on to date. So we're really trying to make this a nice plaza feel and engaging when people visit the site. So try to get back to that picture.
Well, much appreciated.
I think it's having its impact as tenants show up and people show up. They get it when they look at the site plan. They don't quite get it when they show up and they see the buildings and what we're doing. The level of excitement jumps. So
Yes.
we're constantly trying to get people there. I don't know if you saw our video that got posted from the marketing team. They did a drone flyover and whatnot down the highway. And
Oh, we did see that.
I think it's on the website at this point. So.
Was that a real drone? That was a drone.
Yep, a little guy came,
was a
remote
fake
control,
drone.
and shot up, and it was fun to watch. So, as I was mentioning to someone earlier, the cinema is just about ready to move in. The major earthwork we've been doing all summer is just about complete. The pad is at grade. They can come and start foundations. I think they're finalizing their architectural detailing and whatnot, and we'll hopefully have some plans to go to Roland in the coming weeks. We may, I'm going to wait to schedule this, but I think we're going to come in and do a official presentation of their elevations and renderings and whatnot, so the planning board can see that as well.
Great. That's the cinema.
That's the cinema,
Yeah.
yes. They are targeting to be done right now to be open for next summer. So they're going to fast track this and be open. Cinemas like to either open, as you might expect, in the spring, not in the middle of the summer, or they push out to the fall, the Christmas season. So they're pushing for the summer. If anyone drove by the site, the last building on level 1, the steel went up actually today, started to go up today. It's almost completely up, smaller building. And the building C, which is sort of the end line of level 2, the foundation wall is up. That's the home to Tavern in the Square. We expect the building G down front to be open, be closed in and turned over in the spring. They sort of point to this for the moment for buildings. Building G will be wrapped up hopefully before winter, and then Building C we're going to wrap it as quick as we can, but we'll be ready for spring turnover to most of the tenants there. And that will sort of complete as I'm zooming in, this area of buildings is sort of the first major phase, and of course the hotel there at the bottom as well. That's the basic update of tenants and things that are going on. I did want to do sort of the administrative. I know there's some questions about the temporary banners and things we've done, and I have some questions obviously on this image on permanent signage through the center. But I just wanted to clarify from our approvals. So if I could, I'll segue into this sign. We have, as part of the site plan approval and special permit process, we had pylon signs approved and whatnot, but I wanted to clarify just the locations of everything. The 2 yellow dots on the picture would be a typical pylon sign for permanent within the approved parameters, and then the 3 blue dots would be smaller monument signs that have, at each level, will have each tenant there in place. So that was one clarification I was hoping to make, and make sure the board didn't have any different interpretations there. The second was to talk a little bit about the temporary signs that are out there. I know a question came up. We had discussed in the past the importance of signage and temporary banners for a retail center of this size. We put a lot of effort into the design and the standards to make sure we're having nice signs, no raceways, no box letters, things like that. So we're trying to spend some time on good marketing and whatnot of all the signs. We tried to build in some flexibility into the approvals. The signage criteria approved had a 2 square feet per linear foot for typical tenant signage, and then another square foot for sort of accessory signage, the temporary banners and whatnot. So in our mind, the temporary banners you see at the front of the site today and up on the hill sort of are meant to be part of that and encourage the retailers to come to the site and get excitement and energy flowing for the whole center, so. Those are my two clarifications. I'm asking the board to, I guess, confirm, and then obviously can answer more questions on update and what's coming, and any other uses planned.
So let's see, your two clarifications are the locations for the pylon signs?
Location for the pylon signs and then for the monument signs, which are shown on this image.
Inside.
What's that?
The ones inside, the blue dots.
Inside. Monument signs are inside.
Do you have renderings of the monument signs?
I do. Oops. So these are the monument signs. I believe our sign criteria, we talked about monument signs in 40 square feet up in the upper right corner of this. This is actually the actual submittal. They specify that it's 38.3 square feet. So what we've tried to do, rather than, I call them plastic signs, we've tried to bring in some local elements. We have a stone base, wood. It's not actually going to be real wood, but it's going to look like wood panels with push-through copy. We're going to limit I think we're going to try to limit the color of the tenant panels to be all the same, so it's not a rainbow color. It's a really consistent feel. And this is the monument signs internal to the
You
site.
are, or you think you are? I'm just kidding.
I guess I want to confirm what we've told tenants to date before I
Okay.
commit to that.
So
We had discussed it internally, but I can't remember what came out, so.
I see some cornice molding, some molding at the top of that, too.
Yes, just to not quite floating, just to,
Architectural detail.
yeah,
Nice.
it matches some of the building lines that we have as well.
Good. Does anybody have any questions on this one?
Are you asking us to kind of weigh in on the real big signs? Is that what you're kind of asking?
I am. I guess to me, it was a clarification that we think it was part of the intent of the special permit. We had language in there that said
You
the
could
importance
put
of
temporary
signage, so-
signs up.
Yeah.
I don't see
Why
much.
would
We
you
have them perched right now on
Somebody saying you can't?
construction trailers and with trailers with wheels on them.
Yeah, the signs that are there are
So they're
temporary
movable.
boxes that are movable, temporary,
They're temporary signs.
yes.
Just curious.
Why, is there a problem? Someone complain?
I think one person had talked to Roland, had asked Roland to confirm it.
Did somebody complain to the board?
No,
Not us,
I don't
no.
think so.
Karen?
Well, sign complaints go to the building department.
Yeah.
Have we seen the complaint?
Would you like to?
No,
It's usually we don't.
it's not an issue, right?
Has to be in writing,
Well, do
right?
we have any issue with the temporary signs as a board? I don't.
So I'm curious, does it violate the zoning bylaw for temporary signs? Is a special permit, was it suggested a special, so I wasn't part of the approval process for the.
I don't
so-
recall the language that was in the special permit for
I don't
temporary
recall anything
signage,
to
but
do
I
with
do
signs.
recall we talked about temporary signage, and I think we were in agreement that there would be temporary signage.
Yeah.
We spec it out.
No, I don't think we ever.
No, so what I was getting at is we have, on our signage criteria we are trying to hold tenants to 2 square feet per linear foot for like tenant sign, so.
Temporary signage.
For a permanent sign in the
On the
building,
monument
but then
sign.
there's language that says there's an additional 1 square foot per linear foot for use for other banners and other signage elements. And for us, we took that as long as we're within that 1 square foot per linear foot, which we are, for all the approved buildings, then,
Well, I remember the discussion we had with Sam was that there was going to be some ostentatious giant lettering, and some would be inside the glass. And this is when we were trying to get our signed bylaw through that people spent all that time on, and nothing ever came of it, that you would try and operate within the boundaries of that yet to be voted. No, we talked about it, but it
Yeah, I
never...
don't think anybody agreed to that, it's not even a
No,
bylaw.
it isn't a bylaw yet, no, and it's kind of pathetic, to be honest with you, that all those people spent all that time for years, and it never came to anything, not even a vote, so. But your original statement about the 1 square foot per linear foot, is that per each building, right? Each office, each individual? Not the mass of the entire building?
Correct, well, it's for the frontage on the retail space, so the frontage along for the,
Face of the building.
yes.
Yeah. So, does any member have any issue with the temporary signs?
I don't have a problem with
So
it.
we have a consensus here that there's no issue with the temporary signs. And do the members agree that this was part of the concept was part of the original plan?
It was, the special permit was part of the discussion.
Good.
So we did give them the right to put up temporary signs
Yeah.
to try to fill the buildings up.
And I was here at that meeting too, so I'll concur with that. All right. Should we take a vote on this to concur?
I think we're just confirming,
We'll just
yeah,
vote.
on a confirmation.
And the monument signs, does anyone have an issue with the location of the monument signs or the structure?
I think they look great. I think the
Yeah.
locations are within the perimeters. I would prefer that they stay all the same color.
You would, so all the
Yes.
tenant copy is,
I don't know if you guys agree or not, but
Yeah.
instead
No,
of
it
having
just
rainbow
makes
color, then,
It makes sense,
so.
unless
You
it's
mean
like
each tenant having the same color as another tenant?
Yeah.
Joy,
all the signs on one
I
monument
would,
be the same.
I'm not gonna say, I'll put you this way, it's a lot harder to, if you go in there every day, it's not a problem, but if you're coming in fresh, it's a lot harder to read who's in there if they're all the same color, because you're doing it while you're driving, so it's just, I mean, if you have different colored signs, it's easier to pick up that you have tenants, easier to select, I'm just telling you, I've never seen, all the places I go that are built like this, and I just came out of, I mean, the whole Rockville, Maryland area, they all look exactly like what they're building, and all those signs are multicolored. Now, I mean, if they're not gaudy colors and they're tastefully done, it could work. I mean, I don't,
Potato, potato.
Your point makes sense. I'm still for more.
we'll take,
Vanilla.
like I said, I hesitated only because I want to confirm we don't have any prior commitments with tenants. We had talked about the office of making them all like a single, like white illuminated color, but with the logo, but, you know, AT&T has a
Leave it up to Sam, his taste. is
orange and
right
blue
on
and
all
whatnot,
the
but
buildings, so.
they would all be white by our preference, but.
Does anybody have any objection? Good,
It's a good point.
yeah. Do we want to take a confirmatory vote?
I just think we should all confirm. Yeah.
Just a consensus, we have another, everybody in agreement? Yeah,
Sure.
there's your consensus.
Okay.
Is there any comment from the audience? Oh, we have one.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to mention that
Yeah,
a committee that was formed in
Could,
Science a long time
Joe,
ago.
Joe, could you identify yourself?
Joe Knox,
Yeah.
Selectman, sorry. I talked to Sam Park. Sam Park is actually volunteered when that committee starts up again, or if it does get going again. He'd like to come and talk about signs, how tasteful they can be. So he's gone out of his way if we get that committee going, to come in and give his ideas on what actually fits certain sides of buildings with all the different ones that he's done in the past, so.
Oh, that's great. I was on that committee, and to the best of my knowledge, it still hasn't been disbanded, it just hasn't met, and I think when we can reconvene, it would be great to have Sam Park back on it.
Could you tell us what the shovel's for?
It's great to get a vote on the bloody thing.
I can, it's actually your shovel that Martin has handed back to me, and that...
I need one.
From a long time, from the hotel groundbreaking, I think you had asked us to engrave it or something, so I'm officially taking it back, and we'll come up with some language to have it engraved, if that's what the board is still would like, as a commemorative piece.
Let's move along.
to my favorite planning board.
Not to be used in Lizzie Borden style.
Any comments?
No, I think we're good.
All right.
Thank you.
Any,
Thank you.
well, I'd say we're done.
Tim,
I'd
did
say
you get what
thank
you needed for the pylon signs?
I think so, the, I guess,
I have one more question,
yes.
Fire away.
since everyone's going to ask me after this meeting. Tavern on the Square is opening up when?
Where, opening, where?
When?
When? They are in Building C on the plan, which is
Yeah.
Foundation is underway now. We think it'll be ready to turn over to them by the end of the year, maybe the beginning of, in January. And then I would expect them to be a 2 to 3 month build-out, so January.
So like
In the spring.
spring,
April,
late spring.
May. Once we turn it over to them, we sometimes lose control. Leases are written to try to, encourage them to show up and build out, but there's sometimes
Spring.
they can drag their feet, so
Awesome.
that's the target right now.
Very good. And I think Peter had a question on the or Maren, on the pylon sign?
Need to get clarification.
Yep, the biggest clarification was the locations on this plan are okay for the pylon sign. And I guess you can see down in the front, there's both a pylon sign and a landscape sign. Landscape is something we defined, it's sort of something in the middle. So, and just the plan is there'll be a pylon sign, a typical taller pylon sign, and then sort of a supplementary sign in a big landscape bed that we can highlight the restaurants with.
Do you have a rendering of the pylon sign?
I do. I think it's one you've seen before,
We have.
but I'll happy to bring it up. We actually scaled it down a couple feet. This is the pylon. We're trying to make it a little more of a location rather than every single tenant. So you will have our major tenants on there. You see O'Neill Cinemas and Market Basket and Marriott. If there's some other larger retail stores may go on there, but we may not decide to fill up all of those panels as well.
How tall is that?
It is 30, to the large dimensions to the left there, almost just under 31 feet, and our approval went up to 32 feet in height,
That's what we approved.
Yeah?
original
It's a
approval.
little shorter.
So,
Yeah, that's exactly, very similar to the one, not exactly the one
Sounds up.
that we approved some months
Yep.
ago.
yep, I think so. So, same materials, wood, stone.
Yeah.
And then, oops, I'm sorry, just very quick, I know my time's up. The concept of the landscape sign, but I can't turn the page here. Okay, just adjacent to it, a little bit smaller, about 12 feet high,
Looks just like the
specific
model
panels
in
for, we wanted to highlight the restaurants coming, so we wanted to sort of pull them off and have their own piece.
Nice.
And it'll all be set in like a landscape bed in the front.
Very
And
nice.
the pylon you saw would do a second location up on the hill with, again, just the major anchors.
Terrific.
Very
Consensus
good.
is we like it.
Yeah, I'd say the consensus is, thank you, and
Great,
move on.
Go faster.
great.
Okay, thank
Good
you.
little sidewalk and have,
Yeah.
Mo's have free burrito day. So
What?
Free
we'll try to
burrito.
convince Mo's to have free burrito day on the sidewalk day.
Every Tuesday?
Every Tuesday, I don't know if I could do that, but.
$50.
Free burrito day.
All right, great. Thank you very much for your update on the
Thank you
point.
very much.
Taco Tuesday? I stopped, I couldn't take any more.
Taco Tuesday.
Now we're at 8 o'clock, right on time, or a little bit after. Done board business, Macintosh Lane.
Yeah, we don't have any new inspection reports.
Okay,
I put that on there in case one came in, so.
Yeah.
But they seem to be rolling right along with their work on
get out
the
early,
homes that are going in, and then he's going to start doing some more paving, it sounds like in a couple weeks.
great. Any, has anybody been down to the Orchard to drive through?
The Orchard, Macintosh Lane?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, what do you think?
Oh, pretty slick.
Yeah, not bad.
Oh, it's a good looking site.
Yeah. They did a fine job so far.
Looking nice.
Been to the story hut, apartments down there? Yeah. Not bad. They got a pool. It's easy to get around. Looks like it's gonna be well landscaped when they finally get it done. Not
It's a
bad.
monolith, but it's,
Yeah. A lot of apartments,
is.
but it sure is, looks well done. I'd encourage everybody to go down and take a look.
I drive by it every day on my way home.
yeah, but you've been in and see,
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's, yeah, it's
my
It's tight. I
neighborhood.
mean,
It's
it's,
my
you know-
neighborhood.
yeah.
it's all right.
Great, okay.
I see apartments every day, I can't get worked up over them.
You can't get worked up over apartments. Well,
But
I
even-
saw,
keep moving.
I saw an awesome apartment complex today.
We have Littleton Village on the Common East update. Who's here to,
Rob Ansel for the Kimball family.
Yeah.
Paul Elton is here as well for
What's this for?
Bob Moran. The last time we were here, I think it was easier,
What's this?
this is just a concept plan. I'll talk about where we are and then I'll, I'm going to turn it around. I think it's the details such that I think it's probably easier if I just actually put it in front of Mr. Crowley and.
that's fine.
I didn't want to jam it in anybody's face. It's kind of, but we'll look at that in 1 second. Where we are at is that, as the board is aware, we had a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen. Mr. Carr was here, and the last meeting, I had said that what we are looking for from the actually joint boards, I guess, would be a endorsement to the zoning board of appeals to for extension of our permits, which expire on January 4th of 2016, so that we can explore other development options. And this is a development option, which I'll go over. We also are here with Mr. Moran's representative, and any kind of a development would want to include a rezoning that would assist Acton Toyota to move some things around on their property. What the planning board had said is that come back to us with a concept plan. Let's schedule a meeting for today's date and see where we are at. During the last month, which is the height of the Kimball Farm season, we met with a number of developers relative to the viability of the existing project. There is a considerable amount of interest in building out the existing project. The Kimballs are not really looking forward to building out the project, although if they're unable to get an extension or get some support for that, they will do that. The project is viable, and it certainly wasn't when the Kimballs took it over, as seen by the activity Mark Gallagher's 40B project that has sold exceedingly well. I think that the demand for that type of product is really high, and I think that this project, as currently approved, is much nicer than the Gallagher project, because there's more space on the project, and I think that it flows a lot nicer. So where we are at, and it's not your decision to make the decision relative to extending the permits, that's the ZBA's purview, is that I think we're really looking for an ability to open up dialogue as to what we can do with the property. Since the Kimballs have owned the property for the past couple of years, we watched the rezoning attempts by the Fletcher family, and stood back and waited as to what happened with that, and frankly said, okay, we have an asset, hopefully we bought it right, hopefully it will increase in value, and we'll figure out where we're at. During that time, Mike Kimball had spent a considerable amount of money, but didn't go public with his plans to build out this. And this is the concept that we are looking at, which is a project that is the creation of a water park. It has some residential housing within the complex, which might have been used for people having a weekend stay or a weekend getaway. And there is a breakdown of where the project lies as far as open space, parking, recreation, circulation, and what would be donated to conservation-related purposes. Obviously, if they were going to explore that development opportunity, we would require a rezoning, and the conundrum that we're in is that we don't want to lose the rights to develop the current project on the hopes and prayers that they'll receive a supermajority vote town meeting for a rezoning. But without the ability to look at other alternatives, we're kind of left with building out the existing project. Other developments that, other development opportunities that we've looked at is taking the existing project, keeping the project configuration more or less the same, creating an active adult community with that project through a zoning overlay.
Is that the 40B that we're talking about?
The 40B. So we'd keep more or less the existing development and, say, reduce the affordable component from 25% to 10% through a zoning overlay. The 40B active adult units are exceedingly difficult to sell because the state has a two-part test. One is income-based and the other is asset-based. And if I take my parents' house that they built in 1959 in Littleton and sold it, they're going to generate more than $150,000, and it's a ranch. So despite the fact that they may be income eligible, they would not be asset eligible. So those units end up being very difficult to sell. Active adult 40B units in towns such as Winchester sell. I think Littleton would sell. If you go to Grafton, they don't sell. So
When you say active adult, does that mean that they still would have to
it would be
qualify?
an age-restricted project of 55 and over, and we would create a zoning overlay district, so that basically I would create a proposal where we would have a density that we have.
But not income or
No,
asset
what we would do is we
restricted?
would have 10% of the development would be
Income and asset restricted.
dedicated towards.
Can I just say something before we get into the minutia of all the different options here? I think we're all really here just to see if there's some sort of common ground and a mechanism to open up a dialogue with the parties that are involved in the planning board and the selectmen to move this forward. And I think from a time standpoint, I get what you're saying. You need an extension to at least the May town meeting to hear whether or not it gets, because it's going to be a 2/3 vote in the town.
Right, and there's, I know that this board, you in particular, donated a considerable amount of your time to looking at different zoning overlay districts and other things associated with neighbor properties. I guess it's not your decision to extend the zoning board of appeals permits, but I think that an endorsement from the board to say, yeah, let's try to extend the permit so that other alternatives can be looked at, then we're more than willing to go along with that ride, but we're really in a box.
So you're asking the board if they would ask the selectmen to come with us to the ZBA to ask for an extension while we all work on
Yes.
other
And
alternatives?
what you asked for, which is completely legitimate, is that at our last meeting, you said, Mr. Scott said, come back to us with some kind of a plan to show us what it looks like. This is an option. The active adult project that I'm talking about is an option. Taking out a parcel of this land so that we can reconfigure it and add value to Acton Toyota and make the entrance into the town more valuable is an option.
Does this include the Fletcher piece that,
This does not include the Fletcher piece, but it would include the Fletcher piece because the Kimball's now own this. This plan was done in 2012.
Can you say that again? The Kimball's own the Fletcher piece now?
Yes.
How much of it?
well, not all of it, but they own this portion here.
When you say this portion, is it
It
to
is
the
shown on
tube,
this plan.
to the tubing park?
No.
No.
Is it to the lane that goes back through? So from the lane west is what Kimball's have bought.
I think it shows there, I mean, it's vacant, but I think
It's this
Where's-
parcel here.
So it's all the way from
Yeah.
that farm road all the way over to the
I
left.
just squared it off.
So where would the lane be?
I don't know.
Where's the old house that's yet to be torn down? Where's the
Right here.
existing road?
So King Street is where?
Great Road is here. That's the existing house.
This
We-
is approximately.
We have two selectmen here. Do you want to come up and take a look at this at the same time?
Well,
Or any of the public?
I can see it.
Welcome to come up. Rob, do you want to?
Go through this plan?
Yeah.
Sure. And this is a concept, this isn't something they're committed to. This is a plan that Michael Kimball and his ever-growing genius had come up with. What he wanted to do is incorporate a plan that would take his existing wonderful project in Westford and incorporate a project in Littleton. He would have a main access from here. He would have some extended stay units here. All of his intended uses are listed. So he has rental cottages, pavilion for arcades and food, day parking, which is here, 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 and here. And here's the breakdown of what our parking in is 10% or 12% of land in Littleton would be dedicated to parking. He has some ropes course. He has, over here, he has a go-kart track, a walking path and boardwalk, future expansion, which would include tubes, a viper slide, and a constrictor, which is types of rides. He's going to have a sky ride station. He's going to have a balloon station, tube slides, a rattler, which is a type of water ride, a raft ride. He's going to do a lazy river.
I've heard of
And
So what
helium
we-
balloon, batting cages, and
More batting cages or
more
connected?
additional batting cages.
Where is the lane? Where is that lane again?
So here's our existing entrance, which is actually...
The lane's way off, it's way up there somewhere, isn't
Yes.
it? Yeah, it's way up, it's a couple hundred feet that way.
What's
So you're not showing anything in there?
Where is the lane?
It's not
This
even on
is
the
not,
drawing.
it's not their property
Yeah.
yet. It's on-
So he only owns up to,
No,
He
he owns up to
actually
the lane.
squared off the property here, so he now owns that Fletcher parcel.
and that is the piece that wraps around the road that
So-
comes off of Great Road as it is.
Yeah,
Correct.
this,
And that's the road, the existing road right now is where on that?
Right here.
Right there.
yeah, so this is,
So-
he owns this land right now. Yeah,
He owns
this is
the-
Oh,
the-
he's
well, this is where the
owned
40B
this
is.
parcel.
That's the 40B
This
there.
is the 40B.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
where is the property that he owns from Fletcher? What does that include?
Here.
Just that?
It's
How many
a
acres
total
is
of,
it?
I should know this, I'm sorry, I think it's...
Mr. Chair, if I may,
He owns way over there.
Yeah, way over there.
Oh, Sherry, please.
I just want to make sure everyone understands, I'm Mr. Kimball's general counsel, and that's why I'm not appearing on this matter, because it has some zoning board overtones, and I sit on the zoning board. But to just clarify what Mr. Kimball bought, he bought the Pam F. Inc. piece here and squared off his lot line to here. So he didn't buy all the way to the tubing park or the tubing park driveway. He bought to what was the old Robinson Lane. It's an old cart path.
It's in here, right?
Yeah, it's-
It's somewhere in the middle of the field.
He now does own this
He
parcel.
owns about 43 more acres, and I don't think it goes.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's, yeah, it does.
But
That's,
it's not that little white part you're
It's-
talking
it's
right
much
there,
bigger than that.
that you just professed to us is not the truth,
Yeah,
correct?
no. it's
That right, that
further
little
over.
part that you just said squared off is about 6 acres, it's not 40.
no, it goes way over, Sherry.
Yeah,
It's
so,
40,
It's about,
It's
he
43
squared
acres.
off to here.
okay,
So
So it goes out at an angle.
it goes up, it doesn't, I have another map, but I didn't bring it. I didn't bring it.
It's all that frontage till you hit that,
We understand.
He's got the
As
frontage
represented,
here.
we hear from him.
And it goes, there's a cart path in the field here,
Fine.
and it squares off to down.
it's up there.
Right there.
It's up there. 43 acres is
our existing parcel of land, 43 acres. They purchased an additional the acres. We're not necessarily looking on the 40B project to expand into that Fletcher parcel of land. That's not really what our immediate goal is. Long-range plan would be great to do that. We're really concerned about our 40B existing project. And the extent that we have some additional land to look at, then that's something that we can explore.
Good.
Right.
Can we hear from Paul, Mr. Moran's representative?
Our client would love to cooperate with everybody to see if this could be master planned and to see what the best uses of the property is, whether it's a combination that appears in this plan or senior housing or anything else. To take a look at this from above and look at all the properties, we're all in.
Would this involve Mr. Moran maybe getting some of those cars off the roadway?
That's the idea. I mean, I certainly Bob has some ideas of what he would present if this weren't going to happen, and that includes some landscaping. But it's all about the pluses and the minuses, the give and the take. And I think this is an opportunity to master plan all this and to take Great Road and put foliage, arborvitae, screening of part of the parking lot that I've heard so much about over the months is one of the elements of any sort of master plan review of all of this land.
If this were to be considered, would there be some sort of walkability between this project and Great Road?
I guess those are all, like, my immediate concern why we're here is to say, should we look at something, go back to the zoning board of appeals as soon as I can, ask them for an extension through town meeting and see what we can do to look at options for development. It's an ask that the Kimball family spent a considerable amount of money on. The permits in existence are worth a considerable amount more than the purchase price. There's a lot of different options that we can do. And I know that Michael Kimball would love to expand on its existing operation. And originally the original concepts came back to say that, okay, look, you're going to have too much parking in Littleton. This plan doesn't show that. It would be a dual Westford Littleton related project. Be a considerable amount of planning to get this project done. The town is also, at least the zoning board of appeals has said that they would love to have some senior housing. Littleton doesn't have a big active adult for sale project.
What meeting was that discussed at with the Board of
Zoning
Appeals? Yeah, when did you discuss that?
It's been a
Constant?
persistent discussion.
Senior
throughout
housing has been going on
the
there.
last 4 or 5 years that at least Cheryl Cowley has said that she would like to see an active adult project.
I would support more of an active adult senior housing as opposed to Wally World.
As opposed to Wally World?
Well, this is, don't fall in love with the water park aspect of it. That's just a concept. It could be an extension of more go-karts. It could be a batting cage. It could be a lot of different things. The fact is that he wants to expand Kimball Farms into it. The water park is just a neat little drawing that he had to show you, correct? Nothing's etched in stone.
Nothing's etched in
What's
stone.
going in there.
Michael Kimball loves to create. That's what he loves to do. He is a true genius at creating things. He loves to take a piece of dirt and make it something unique. He's the guy that spent a fortune on a mini golf course with everybody saying, "What the heck are you doing?" He said that's going to be the cornerstone of my corporate outings. It became the cornerstone of his corporate outings. It's a wonderful addition. It's a great family venture. He's looking to do more of that. He loves to do that. On this site, there's opportunities to preserve a parcel of land. There's an opportunity to build an active adult project. There's a need to utilize some of the infrastructure that's been created already in this project. And there's a lot of planning that needs to go on that frankly, with the great housing recession, there wasn't the demand for anybody to sign up to build 108 units. As you guys are painfully aware, I think there's a U.S. News and World Report or whatever, Littleton's property values are just
Tell me about it.
increased crazy amount in the last
It's
12
nuts.
months. The demand for this town is crazy. I think that this is a wonderful project as it exists, and we've had a ton of different people interested in the existing project, but the Kimball family wants to do the right thing for the town while doing the right thing for them. In order to have that kind of balance, we need time. What we could do with our existing permits is we can build out what we have. I don't think that the zoning board of appeals is going to have authority to say that we haven't done enough within our 6-month extension, and we have the ability to show up there with contractors and get that project going. They really don't want to be boxed into that, but that's kind of where we're at. And unfortunately, I'm not before you with a solid concept that we took Moran's property, we threw that on here. We did an active adult reconfiguration, and really, that's what you guys had asked for. We didn't have time to do that.
Does anybody have any questions about this or comments?
I think, please.
Please.
The property Mr. Kimball owns, that he controls, and with the 40B permit, you're asking us to go to the ZBA and ask them to extend the 40B permit through at least sometime May or thereafter, some period of time, to offer you options, or Mr. Kimball options, as to what he may do with the property.
And just so you know, the underlying zoning for this property is residential. It's 43 acres, about 34 of them are dry. The wetlands in the property are intermixed throughout. We probably have the right to build 25 or so residential homes.
But am I getting out of the conversation, Mr. Kimball's preference is to build out Kimball Farms and not build houses?
I think that his preference, and I shouldn't say that just that it's limited to that, is to look at other development opportunities. I wouldn't say that it's just limited to building out Wally World or whatever you had referred to it
But by
as.
extending the 40B permit, it would give you an opportunity to build 40B properties.
No. If there's no extension, we are going to build out the project as it is, because we really don't have any other options. My client has something that is of considerable value at this point, and by letting those permits lapse, his value is going to, go down considerably. So
I had said extend. So by extending the permit, it would be the opportunity for Mr. Kimball to build 40B properties.
No, we have that, I'm sorry if I'm not being clear. We have that right now. We don't need we don't need the ability to extend. The ability to extend allows us to look at other development opportunities. It allows us to look at this project.
Rezoning this and coming up with a development plan outside of what's proposed here, or the 40B.
But wait, but that, provided that we go to May town meeting and with a rezone proposal. That's what
But it's
that,
residential right now.
Or an overlay, yeah.
So with it being residential, you couldn't build houses there now.
We could build, my guess, with Bruce Ringwell, who's not here on this project, did the underlining engineering for this project. My guess, exceedingly uneducated, because I don't know where it would be, but I bet they'd be able to build 25 residential homes on this project. The 40B project is 56 duplex units. Well, there's a couple triplexes in there, but it's basically 56 duplex units.
For 108 housing units.
Yes.
right.
And pardon me for being a little bit lost. As you claim you have a 40B permit now, and you could go forward with a 40B if you so chose. Why would you need the 40B to continue?
The extension.
He needs to,
Mr. Chair, can I
Yeah, go
just,
ahead.
can I just speak?
Please.
Because I think I understand your concern, Mr. Avella. Right now, he's got a permit to build 108 units. They are affordable units, and they are 2 to 3 bedroom unit, 3 to 4 bedroom, 3 bedroom units mostly. And so the thought was to add 108 units, 25% of which would be affordable, helps your numbers for the affordability count as you go into the next 2020 count, and you have to change your percentages of SHI, I think it is.
Gotcha on that, yeah.
So that's a good thing for the town on that, in that sense, but adding 108 families to the school system may not be the best thing for the town.
Understand that piece.
So what they're saying is, if he doesn't get an extension on the permits, it's his feeling that he has to go ahead and start building the 108 units so as to do substantial progress forward and not lose the permit. If the town thought that it was better to look at other options for this property, whether it be some age restricted, all age restricted, combination of some commercial and some units, rather than adding 108 units into the system, maybe even rental housing, which would give you a better number on the SHI. It's something that I think Mr. Ansel is saying the Kimbells are interested in looking at jointly with the town, but they can't take the risk that they are delayed past the termination of those permits, and then they won't have the 40B permit, and they won't have the
See,
cooperation of
what
the town.
date is that come about?
January 4th, 2016.
That's good, thank you. Thanks, Sharon.
That's when the permits expire.
Correct.
And this
You have
is,
to take some action before that.
And we actually have taken some action. They've pulled a building permit. The term substantial completion, which is defined by Massachusetts general laws, is fuzzy. What I don't want to do is say that, look, we didn't do enough. I don't want to go back to the state to fight against the town of Littleton, say that we've taken enough action under the terms of the permit. That's not something that we want to do. What we'd like to do is look at other development opportunities.
We have a question from, I think, Joe.
Okay. The one concern I think I would have in bringing to the Board of Selectmen is the extra 43 acres that you're not showing on there, that actually comes up in the Butts Great Road.
Okay, just to be clear, the reason why we didn't do this concept plan was created in 2012, had nothing to do with the Fletcher property. We're not talking about the Fletcher property relative to the 40B. If what we were going to do was a zoning overlay for that whole area, then we'd certainly discuss that. You know?
I understand that, that's not,
Okay.
I think what I was trying to get back, relay to you, relay back to your client, is that maybe one of the things that townspeople might ask is, what is the future use that Mr. Kimball might be using that? That was my only point. I think we might want to add that on so there's more clarity. To what's
Okay, and I think that we would certainly explore that between now and, say, May town meeting or wherever we end up with that. And originally, I should also get back to the genesis of why we're here, is that the planning board and the selectmen knew that the ZBA had extended the permits. They knew that we needed to act on them, and the board said, will you guys come in front of us to talk about other additional development opportunities? We were certainly excited about that discussion, because that's something that we've wanted to do. And I think that if they really wanted to build it out, they would have sold it during the last couple of years, and they haven't wanted to do that.
Okay, but I just want to make sure we're clear on what the ask is. It's an extension, and you're asking for a warrant for the May town meeting to rezone the property.
I think
So then what do you want the extension for?
because my permits expire on.
No, you're not saying it. If you don't rezone the property, giving you an extension in perpetuity, and you never put... No. So even if we give it to you for 6 months, right? And there's no warrant to rezone, what's the point? You still don't have your answer. You'll be right back into this boat 6 months from now.
And then I have a right to build it, as opposed to taking my underlying value and decreasing it by about 2/3.
Right, so if you're not if you're not coming in front of the town to rezone the land in some near term, why would we give you the extension?
I think what we are representing to the board is that we will honestly explore rezoning opportunities and put a valiant effort into a concept plan. There's a million different things that we can do with this property, and without some guidance and support from this board, we're never going to get it approved at annual town meeting. So I think that we want some guidance. There's if you look at the Cooper property, that the town had discussed a whole bunch of different things that they wanted to do with that property, and there was big discussions about saying, we want ball field, we want
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
adult house, we
Got it.
want both. And to me, that's relevant because if we're going to end up rezoning that property, we're probably going to have a bunch of competing, or this property, we're going to have competing interests, and we're going to have some ideas, and hopefully we're going to be able to incorporate those. And those take a lot of work to get done.
I think it goes without saying that if we're going to go down this road, it involves an extension to the Maytown meeting for a vote at Maytown meeting.
Yeah.
We'd be crazy not to be going down this road if we're...
Because as a practical matter, the town is not going to vote on your plan. The town's going to vote to rezone that land. And
then
once
we're
they
gonna
do,
go in
but
front
once
of you.
they do that,
We're fine, because we're going to build something within that new zoning.
that's true. But once we rezone it, we can't take it back.
But the idea is perhaps it would be an overlay district, then the requirements of the overlay district would push them into that corner, so what you got would be what you saw.
No, I totally get that. What my point is, looking for guidance from us, talking it over the town, the bottom line is you have to win a vote on the floor to get the rezoning
They
done.
know that.
Right, they know that.
Okay, but I just want to make sure the ask is clear, and that we're not voting on a concept plan.
No.
No.
No. In fact, we don't even need to vote. All we need to do is give these gentlemen a consensus.
We need to decide as a board whether we want to go to the ZBA and ask the selectmen to come with us, to ask for time to work, to have a working group,
See-
planning board meetings to discuss the rezoning of
The
this.
sequence of events here is that, number one, the permit runs out in January, so Mr. Kimball has to make a decision on building 40B now, or holding off. If we encourage the ZBA to extend their permit, then that gives all parties time to look at all kinds of
And
concepts.
for the fifth time, we've heard this.
So does the board want to send a letter or go to the ZBA and ask them to extend the special permit for the 40B on this property while we work, in good faith, while we work out other alternatives to just the 40B out there? That's the question. How does the board feel? Simple as that.
I have a question. I'm surprised, Rob, that you're making your deadline May. Is there enough, do you feel comfortable there's enough time between now and May to accomplish all of this?
I guess my
You want a
view-
6-year
no.
extension? Will that work all right?
Nobody's suggesting a 6-year extension.
Well,
Is it
I know
gonna be a
what you're
6-month-
reaching
a
for, I know what
6-month
he's looking for.
6 months or 9 months or 12 months, I think is the question.
It would probably be 12 months, but I feel as though if we get the zoning overlay approved, then, we have options with the,
My question is, if between now and May, is there enough time to build consensus, draw something, and write a bylaw?
Move on.
Excuse me, Peter, we're in discussion here?
Yeah.
All right, so why don't we say a year?
No.
We need to decide if we want to do this in the first place, whether it's 6 months or a year. Does it really make that much of a difference?
I'll let Rob.
it would be great if we had a year, because then we're going to have our planning underway to figure out what we're doing. I think that we certainly can come up with a concept of what we want. I think that we can get enough people's voices heard. I think that the rezoning efforts by the Fletcher family brought forth a number of ideas and what people wanted. I think that a lot of that has been fleshed out, so I think we know a lot of what those goals are, and a year would be best. And I will tell you that I think that that's a big ask to the ZBA, and I think they'll be opposed to that, but ideally we would like.
I don't know that we even have to recommend a time frame. That would be, since we don't have purview to the actual extension. and
That's reasonable.
We don't need to.
That's right.
There's plenty of room and plenty of time for that kind of discussion to happen at the selectmen's meeting. I presume you're going to be presenting this to the selectmen too.
Well, the idea of having a joint meeting and having, like we had 3 selectmen being present, I would certainly like 10 minutes with the selectmen if we were going to do that, and then go schedule a October ZBA meeting. That would be preferable.
That would, and that's, you'll get a different TV audience there, too.
Okay.
They fill the room better than we do, I think.
So,
The-
what does the board want to do?
So we're recommending an extension?
Yeah, so what I'm hearing here is that we're going to, we have a proposal from the proponent to recommend, to have this board make a recommendation to the ZBA for an extension to be determined.
An extension of their
their, 40B permits.
while we work on a rezoning of the area.
Creating an overlay district.
Creating some sort of overlay district.
To, rather than a straight 40B.
But it won't be a straightforward zone.
No, straight 40B is what I said.
Oh.
This is in lieu of a 40B, the 108-unit 40B.
Agreed.
Or if if the permit lapses, they can build 25 houses.
Correct.
So those,
So, we
are we
have,
tying our hands, and we feeding them, or what are we doing here?
no,
My own personal opinion is, all you're doing is you're working towards giving the town,
more options.
the town the right to vote on whatever it is they present on the floor. That's all you're
Yeah.
doing.
The 40B doesn't change, they can build a 40B.
Otherwise, you're taking it off the
tomorrow,
table and you're locking them in.
And in a year from now, or if that extension is a year, that doesn't change. But what does change is the options open up. So,
They're taking all the risk, we're taking no risk.
so we have
What risk?
a motion. Now, do you, is the discussion clear enough to create a motion? All right, we have a motion on the table.
Second.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Peter?
I had enough discussion.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved.
Throw my eye in there just for fun,
Thank you. Thank you.
but with reservations.
I think that just to clarify, I think that this board asked me to go in front of the selectmen.
We did.
Okay, so I'll coordinate with them.
Rob, if I could get an electronic copy of that file, and since you presented it at the meeting.
Yeah. I
Just leave the whole thing right here.
figure it out. Okay.
When you go to the selectmen, maybe you might have other options other than just Wally World to talk about.
Well, that was dated
Just a-
September 2012.
Just a hint.
Yeah. That was dated September
Yeah,
2012.
Wally World, that's something other than just plain old Wally World.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Paul,
you.
thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
very interesting.
Come on.
8:15, continued public hearing, 2 Spectacle Pond Road, Stone Yard, resolve site compliance issues.
Well, let's take Bruce right now to get him out of here.
7:30.
Oh, that's right.
We're closing it, right?
Bruce has come in.
Yeah.
A&Rs, 694 and 724 Great Road, parcel swap, no new lots.
What the hell is this?
Bruce, please recognize yourself.
Hi, Bruce Ringwald, GPR. Parcel swap. Swapping the area in pink for the area in orange on my plan. For the 2 parcels, parcel A and B. This lot A3A, formerly Lot 3, is a reduced frontage lot, and it has all the required area. It has a 150-foot square that fits within it. There's all the blessings that the zoning calls for. This is on the Groton, this is 119, the Groton, Littleton line, and then the Littleton air line comes up in here. Down here, this is Littleton, this is Littleton, this is Groton. This is where the new thing
Is this where the church is
right
going in?
right across the street from the church.
Temple?
The temple.
Don't we need both 2 signature blocks on this? Littleton in there?
No, because there's no division within Littleton.
Or air.
Within Air or Groton, thank you.
3 towns.
Actually, all of Groton line comes like this and goes like this, so there's nothing in Groton.
And this is Littleton in Basil?
This is
Air,
Air, this is
and
Littleton.
this is Littleton, right there.
These are the 2 triangles here in Littleton. There's nothing else.
How can they be, what's this right here?
That
Oh, that's
is
an
a big,
easement line.
huge easement
Oh, I see.
line for the power.
So this is the Littleton air line right here?
Correct.
Okay. I got confused by the easement line.
I totally understand that.
Okay. I'm good.
Good.
Mark, you didn't get confused.
No, I saw the easement line, thought it was the law, the town.
Yeah.
So this is the right thing?
Any issues? Yes.
Entertain a motion
Second.
to,
Third.
All in favor?
we
Aye.
have, so we have, you have them, you present the motion then, Jerry.
No, I just seconded it.
You seconded it. So,
I thirded it.
He thirded it.
Who ate it?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That was that worked? Good.
we're gonna clean this up a little bit better.
What up?
The antics.
My antics?
No, the board's antics. Now, let's
My
clean it up.
antics?
Yes, and yours, too, Jerry.
What did I do? I had to say.
Sign. I'll sign one.
Thank you.
Do you have Mylar or no Mylar?
Aren't we signing the Mylar?
I think I did sign the Mylar. This one?
Yeah, you see what I was in the back, but I was in the Mylar.
I think I just did it.
You can't use the Mylar.
Why? It's legal.
We need to sign the Mylar.
Do you have a Mylar pen?
I know, I did sign it. I know I signed it.
Oh, there is that. Did I already sign that one, Aaron? You did, good, right?
I signed it.
Okay, Bruce, you're all set?
On that one, I got to
Good.
finish up 2 spectacle pond.
All right. 8:15, well,
Whatever, quarter to
8:45. Continued public hearing, 2 Spectre Pond Road, Stone Yard. Resolve site compliance concerns and allow additional site improvements. Water Resource District
It's right there. It's
special permit and site modification. Public hearing.
This one, we had it, I'm sorry, we had a continued public hearing, but then we also had to re-advertise to add the use and storage of hazardous materials on site to the notice, so get a new notice.
Okay.
The Town of Littleton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, September 24th, 2015, at 8:15 in room 103 at Town Hall, 37 Shattuck Street, to consider the application for a special permit pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, and the Code of the Town of Littleton zoning. The application is for Water Resource District Special Permit Use Section, under Section 173-61 through 173-64 of the Code of Littleton zoning. The property location is 2 Spectacle Pond Road, Assessors Map R-22, Parcel 9-1. Owner, applicant is estoneyard.com LLC. The applicant is seeking approval to resolve site compliance concerns, allow additional site improvements, and for the use and storage of hazardous materials within the Water Resource District. Application and plans can be viewed at the Planning Board and Town Clerk's office during these business hours. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the proposed plan should appear at the time and place designated. The provided comment to Maren Toolhill, Littleton.org, or P.O. Box 1305, Littleton, Mass. 01460, by September 22nd, 2015.
All right, Bruce, are you here to speak on this?
I am. Since we met last, the property was noticed in the paper, and additional notices went out to the butters. We had a site meeting with the applicant, myself, and Corey from Littleton Light and Water. We went through everything that I had outlined in the previous hearing. He agreed that everything was properly stored on the property. Wrote a letter to you folks of that nature, and good meeting. He provided that to you and the board. I think it was on September 10th, memory serves me.
Yeah, I just now gave you the letter from Corey Godfrey, the Light and Water Department.
Okay, so it seems that all the issues that with the stone yard have been resolved. Bruce?
I would say yes.
And you need a water resource district special permit.
Right, we've gone over everything relative to the site at the last meeting. The only thing that we were waiting for was for Corey to be on the site and make sure that all the hazardous materials were properly stored and kept in manners in accordance with that which is required within the Aquifer Protection District.
Great.
Water Resource Protection District.
Maren, is there anything else that goes along with this?
You also were doing site plan review, so there'll be a separate site plan decision. I didn't draft one up, but.
All right. So I'll entertain a motion to approve a water resource district special permit, the draft that Maren has in front of us, with the following conditions. These look like the standard conditions. Registry of deeds, screening provided on the plans.
If I may,
Hours
Mr.
of
Chair,
operation.
the first set of them are the conditions from the 2009 special permit. A number of those things have already been done, and then there's three new conditions at the end.
And we have site shall adhere to operation maintenance manual regarding sweeping, drainage. Condition 18, that was 17, up to, how many gallons of waste oil did they?
It would be probably up to 110. They have 2 drums on site, and one's filled, it's taken away, but usually, you're in the process of filling the second one while you're waiting for the first one to be taken away, so I'd say in that category.
Okay, and the
Their
quantity,
permit with the state, I think, is for 250 gallons. So.
and the quantities of hazardous materials report are limited to the amount agreed to with water, light and water, forest and water. All right, I'll entertain a motion to,
Excuse me, what quantities are you looking at?
17, 18, 19 quantities, 110 gallons of waste oil on number 18.
Right, but what quantities of hazardous materials on site?
We'd have to come up with some sort of total between Corey and ourselves, because we did not do that. I didn't know that we were going to have a total quantity in there. But we can get that
Well, it's open-ended, I think we should limit it if we're gonna, instead of leaving it open-ended.
but we can approve this on the following condition that he supply those numbers to Maren before it's
Well, what if he
filed.
supplies us a number of 150,000 gallons? Are we going to go with that, or it should be?
Isn't there a limit already?
Yeah, there needs to, the state is 250, is that right?
I think on the waste oil, I believe the state's is 250, but on the other stuff, I mean, when you add up, you got, 6
Quarts of this.
16-ounce cans of something, you've got, a dozen.
So we don't
5-ounce
envision it being
cans
more
of
than
something else.
25 gallons?
Oh, it's definitely more than 25 gallons.
At our last meeting, we showed pictures
There's
of
4
the
gallon, there's
cabinets.
4 55-gallon drums of hydraulic fuel and 3 different grades of oil.
And those are,
They're all stored in the manner and improvements with Corey's inspections.
and the grand total of those is less
That's
than
what I said, I don't
250?
have that number.
Well, I suggest it be less than 250.
If-
The state has a...
No, state has they have
I
a
know.
permit with the state on waste oil
Yes.
to hold it.
I think
We're
that's a
talking of total hazardous material, you're gonna look at everything as being that, you gotta take a summary of those things. You've got all these different containers.
I got to?
We do, that's
Oh,
what I
all
said. We
All
and
right, so-
Corey would take a look at it and get a number tomorrow.
50 gallons.
All right, so what we can do, Peter, is to allay your concerns, we can ask Bruce to have them furnish us with an inventory of not to exceed on each item.
On a summary of items, because there's the list, you saw the list we submitted.
We
It's
did,
huge.
yes, yeah.
Not gonna,
Do any members have any issue with that?
No,
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
before you make the motion, we have a conflict with number 7 of the previous decision. Because we asked on this one, the previous decision said no parking of vehicles allowed on any unpaved surface, and we have that hard-packed, very solid gravel area up at the top that we want not to have to pave, and so that we maintain the quote-unquote paved surfaces versus unpaved surfaces. So I just want to make certain that maybe we add a condition 20 that parking is allowed on the unpaved surfaces as shown on the most recent site plan.
How many lots and how many parking spaces is that?
It's about 12, if I remember right, but I don't remember, I mean, I didn't bring the
Now,
plan.
isn't there a fee, $110 per parking space?
First
Isn't
things-
there or is there not?
First things first, we'll...
The parking spaces
Concept.
exist on the property, they've been relocated as things have moved around in the site. Been parked up here, we pulled them.
So you're not adding any parking spaces?
We're not adding any parking spaces, we're putting them in a different place.
Yeah, they mentioned that, and they showed it on the drawing. So we can
I
add
appreciate that.
add a number 20 that would qualify that the parking off pavement would be in accordance with the drawing, the plan that you submitted last time.
Thank you.
Can you show the plan at 7 spots?
It won't work. I mean, if I can show up at 7 spots, then I'm not gonna meet your parking requirements.
No, you don't need to pave it.
I don't understand what you're asking.
You're asking to park on unpaved, an unpaved area.
Right, it is.
Our
gravel
bylaw says
packed.
that anything over 7 spaces has to be paved. If you could show us the
Unless
parking.
the planning board in the site plan review says otherwise, and that's what we did at the meeting a month ago.
There we are. So I'll
Sorry.
so Jerry,
And I remember
What else
Stuck
what we did?
one in on us, huh? You weren't paying attention, is that what you're trying to say?
I was paying attention.
so Jerry, will
I
you
was
amend your
paying
We're having too
motion?
much fun now.
Yeah, I will make a motion.
You amend your motion to include item 20. Condition 20.
I don't think you should be taking a condition off that was put in when this thing was originally permitted. That's, you guys can vote however you want.
We're amending that.
I don't
No,
think-
so we're taking out 7.
7 was there.
Strike 7.
No,
Not
7
striking
was there from the 2009 special permit.
Sorry, so
We're tying,
Like some of those things, like we've already planted those trees, we've already done the different things that are on the 2009
I
special
understand, so we're gonna
permit.
add 20,
We're-
says he
20
can
that
park
allows
can
us to
park
park in
according
accordance.
to the drawing that he showed us last
according to
time.
the submitted plan.
Yeah, which was,
Yes.
which had a few
I
spots.
would
that
definitely
were-
make that motion.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
The ayes have it.
Thank you. So I try and keep it short and ask me
Okay.
too many questions.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thanks for everything.
Go late on this public hearing for 80 King Street. 80 King Street, public hearing, Aquifer Water Resource District, special permit.
I'll tell you later when he's out.
Thank you, Bruce. To redevelop 80 King Street.
Can I change the order on King Street? We have in front of you an A&R plan that didn't make it to your agenda, but it's here. And it's signed. Can we go over that, and that might make easier prelude to what they're going to say on the site plan?
Is this
Is this part of our
tied
original meeting now?
to our previous meeting last month?
No, no public hearing. So.
What was the previous meeting? 80, I'm talking about 80.
80 King Street.
Yeah.
This is 80 King Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
But
that's
but you have an A&R
This is new,
plan here
yeah.
tonight.
Right, 80 King Street is on the agenda for the public hearing. Sherry has submitted an A&R that didn't make it onto the agenda. It's your decision whether or not you want to do that A&R this week or wait till the next meeting. 80 King Street is on the agenda, so it's a little fuzzy.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Rest of the board members?
That's fine.
Thank you.
Good.
And if I could run through the A&R. So I represent Sherry Gould, I represent the Webbers, who are the owners of the Weber Florist business. And beside me is Lori Bejoyan, and she's representing Carl Strathmeyer and his wife, Andrea Strathmeyer, and they are the potential purchasers for the building and business at 80 King Street. 80 King Street, you know, has been the Weber Florist since 1947, I believe. Sadly, they closed the business this past year, a year and a half ago, because of market conditions and the family aging. And Mrs. Weber would like to sell the property and realize her retirement, and then live in retirement comfortably. So what they've done is they went to, they went to put the property on the market, and Mr. Strathmeyer, who owns the Minor Court in downtown Littleton, came forward with a very good business plan, which involves having his Minor Court business there, which is retail sales and service of musical instruments and student lessons, etc. And he's got quite a destination-type business. He sells the higher-end musical instruments, and people come to him. And so this would be a good location for him, because he doesn't need to be kind of walk in from downtown. He's a destination. And it's near the Indian Hill Music Studio and everything. So they've gone through the motions over the last 2 months of trying to get all the boards in agreement. And last month they received a zoning approval for a special permit for the change in use from the florist to the music studio. So that piece is done. And this past Tuesday night, we received a waiver from the Board of Health to waive the nitrogen loading requirements on this A&R lot that you see in front of you.
Nice.
And their vote specifically was that they approve the 52,990 square foot lot. So that's been done. They didn't want us to subdivide that off before they heard us on Tuesday. And so we're here before you for that A&R approval tonight, and then Mr. Strathmeyer and his counsel are going to take it further and show you a site plan review now on that 52,990 square foot lot for their parking requirements for the business that they're going to be operating. The rest of the project, the rest of the property, the Webbers would like very much to show a 3-lot subdivision on. It hasn't yet been finalized, although a sketch plan is probably here, and I could show you that. And this is concept only.
Possibly.
And we drafted it to make sure that if we carved out this piece, that Mrs. Weber would still have the lots that she could sell.
Sure.
Thank you. So that's the concept of what the 3-lot
What the
subdivision
3-lot would look like once it's done. Harry, when you say 52,990, what is that referring to?
That's the concept plan.
What I can do.
That's that parcel, that lot A.
This one, it says 51,7.
Do you have to have that much parking?
Is that right?
I didn't see parking. Needed for the square footage, probably.
Why don't you just take over what's
I
there?
may ask you if you would consider the vote and let me bring back the right plan. It's 52,990, I don't know why.
What's that say?
If you look at my concept plan,
738?
is that 52,990?
No. 51,738?
No, on the concept plan.
Oh, no, I can't read that. Can you read that?
Let me see.
It says 52,990 in the
Yeah,
contract.
52,990 is the
It
one the
does
Board of
say-
Health just voted.
That's the
Yeah.
52,990. That's the...
Okay.
It is.
Yep.
But the plan, the
The plan,
survey.
right, correct. So I'd have to bring back a new Mylar at the 52,990.
So we can't do the
because
A&R.
There's a discrepancy, but it's that concept plan, the 52,990.
And you end up with 95 feet of road frontage? On this plan, it's 95 feet?
What are you talking, this one?
For the 3-lot subdivision.
So that would,
Yeah.
we're only looking at this one.
Right, but
The
that's what was
9608.
That's what was separated out.
96.
The 95 that's left would be a 50-foot wide regulation subdivision road when they're doing the 3-lot subdivision. The 95 that's left is
Yeah.
going to be a subdivision
Okay.
road.
What's your percent impervious in Lot A?
It exceeds, that's a special permit they're going to have to come back for.
Well,
When they put in the parking, it's,
does anybody have any issue with the
Straight
A&R?
R&R?
Yeah, I don't.
okay, so I'll bring you back a new Mylar to be signed on October 8th if you know that the board is in favor of that.
Yeah.
And then Lori can go forward with the site plan review.
Oh, that's right.
The
Do we have,
proposal is to divide this up into 3 separate individual buildable lots.
No, that's a separate,
We're
it's just separate.
We're just before you with
This is a
respect to
concept.
Lot A.
Right, just this one.
do we have any, do we have people in the audience that may have interest in this? Yes, please come forward. First.
Well, we're here to support them, we just want to know what you're gonna,
Oh,
what you're voting.
What we're going to do to them?
wait. Okay,
There was
so,
another gentleman behind.
so we
us,
have
too.
support here,
Make them
support
teach me how
here.
to play the guitar that I've owned for 30 years.
Easy, Pete.
And still can't play.
Peter.
This is part of it
I just
also.
want to hear them for the proposals.
Okay, all right, so it looks like we have support from the audience, you have support from the board, the A&R will go through.
So we,
We're gonna-
right,
we're
we
gonna
talk about
amend it
A,
to
right?
50 Yeah, to support it to 52,990.
That'll help the percent impervious too by increasing.
Is it,
What's your
is,
question, Jerry?
well, the building, the Weber building that stands today, bunch of greenhouses, is that all going to stay intact? They demo it any
No,
now?
I
Demo.
think it
It
says
says
on
it
the
to be removed.
concept plan that
That's
the greenhouse is
it, yeah.
coming down.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all going to go. So even with that going, the impervious is still going to be over.
He's got to add parking for his use.
And you're going to get septic in here? and-
Well,
Septic's in.
Commercial
can
septic.
we can look at modifying the parking in lieu of the,
We can,
And-
absolutely,
and
it's our
that's
purview.
the next discussion.
Right, so,
I was just asking.
If I may, Mr. Chair, that's what we're prepared to speak to, is Lot A and all the things that you're
Okay,
mentioning.
let's
with regard to Lot A.
all right, so
let's get past this A&R.
Well, no, you know why we shouldn't get past? Because if their percent impervious is too high, they may need some of the land from parcel B to drop it down low. Let's hear what their percent impervious is before we approve the A&R for Lot A.
But we have the authority to grant a special permit if they're over the
well,
percent
but if we
impervious.
can get them to fall within the zoning requirements.
We don't even know what the,
By carving out part of B?
yeah.
Well,
We need
let's
to
find
know
out
what,
they did.
we need to know what your percent impervious is before we
Right.
even go down that road.
We can open this up for discussion.
Okay?
Ready?
Yeah,
Sure.
Carl has a presentation.
great.
All right.
Mr. Crowley, I would recommend we
Read the
open the public hearing as posted, continue that until the next meeting, and just do a site plan discussion with the presentation that Carl has. We don't have detailed site plans, they're not available yet, but
We're
Carl
seeing
is...
some of the work in front of you, leading to that.
Right.
Okay.
He has a presentation, and we'll be looking for some feedback.
Great.
Public hearing, Aquifer Water Resource District Special Permit, 80 King Street. The Town of Littleton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, September 24th, 2015, at 8:30 PM in Room 103 at Town Hall, 37 Shattuck Street, to consider the application for special permits pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, the Code 40A, and the Code of the Town of Littleton zoning. The application is for Aquifer and Water Resource District Special Permit under Section 173-61 through 173-64 of the Code of Littleton zoning. Property location, 80 King Street, Assessors Map U-42, Parcel 9-0. Owner is Philip S. and Patricia Weber. Applicant is Carl, please say your last name.
Strathmeyer.
Thank you. The applicant is seeking approval to redevelop a portion of 80 King Street property to include a retail use in a single apartment unit with Aquifer and Water Resource District. Use includes 1, use having eliminated sewage flow exceeding 6 gallons per day, combined flow per 1,000 square feet of lot area, 2, retention of less than 30% of the lot area in its natural state, and 3, rendering impervious more than 50% of the lot area. Site improvements will be made to allow use of the existing building as a retail music store. Applications and plans can be viewed at the planning board, the town clerk's office during the business hours. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the proposed plan should appear at the time and place designated, or provide comment to Marin Toolhill, littletonmass.org, or P.O. Box 1305, Littleton, MA, 01460, by September 22nd, 2015.
Thank you.
I gotta bring my glasses.
Technology here, while we get the presentation.
Nice work.
Planning board.
I'm gonna bring my glasses.
Wait, that's
Yeah, that would've made a difference. That would've made a difference.
Blinded you for the rest of your life?
That's what he said.
Even though
Although it's 15.
a certain distance away.
Perfect. Okay. Sherry Gould has stolen a bit of our thunder and introduced us already. My name is Carl Strathmeyer. This is my wife, Andrea. We are the owners of the music store in town, the Minor Chord. And this is Laura Bedoyan, our counsel, out of Brian Burke's office. We are here to begin the site plan review process for this lot, which will be a subdivision separated from the current larger 80 King Street lot. So we're here, first of all, to introduce ourselves. Secondly, to tell you a little bit about the property that is the subject of our discussion. Thirdly, to show you some of our plans for that parcel. And then finally, probably tonight in a practical sense, we can take your questions, your concerns. We have several clarifying questions for the board as we work towards the definitive site plan, which we imagine we will bring before you at a subsequent meeting.
Right.
Okay? I also have, as we get there, Lauren has the presentation. I also have, there are a few pages for the presentation that have tables of data in them, so I have hard copies of those tables for you that I'll pass out as we get there. Okay?
Great, let it begin.
It's late, let's get going.
Approved, we'll all go home now.
All right, is there a,
Tried.
see up the top where it says slideshow? Way up top, click on that. Yeah, and on the, where does it say? Share slideshow from beginning, perfect, yeah. Okay, and from there on, I don't know what you do. Page down, I think.
Red arrow.
Or red arrow, either one. Okay, so there's our agenda. I already said we're going to talk about that. On to the next slide. Who we are, this store was founded by a fellow by the name of Bill Brown almost 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago, in Acton, moved to Littleton in 2008. Andrea and I purchased the business in 2010, so 5 years ago. What we do there is, it's a music store. We sell instruments of all kinds except drums, including school band instruments. We sell sheet music. We are a major source of the materials that local schools and independent teachers use. We do give lessons there. We have about 150 students in a typical time period, different students that come in. And we do instrument repair. So if somebody's saxophone's broken, Andrea can put it back in working order in time for the football game. Our request to you, the reason why we're here, is ultimately we want to get to a site review, which will, may have related permits based on impermeable surface area and such like. And so, that's what we need to be able to move forward with our plans to move the business from our current lease space over on Great Road to the Weber property. Okay? All right. This is us. We live in Lunenburg. Lunenburg paper loves us. We do try to run a quality shop. Next slide. Here's some pictures of the inside of the shop. We have a lot of large ticket stuff. People do come in to buy sets of guitar strings, might be $6, but they also buy some of the guitars you see on the wall there. They're upwards of $3,000 some odd dollars. So this is not a high volume business. It's a small mom and pop business, but we have a limited number of customers traipsing through on a given day, which is why I think it's a good fit for the location and why I think the Board of Appeals allowed us to continue that mixed use, that location. Okay?
Great.
Okay, so here's one of the data sheets that I will pass out to you. I'll give you a hard copy of the whole presentation as well.
Thank you.
One of the things I was certain you would be interested in is exactly how many cars are we having showing up at this store on a typical day. So I had one of my staff members go back and actually look at my cash register records for the past almost a year. And you'll see it varies from 40-ish visits per day to 60-ish visits per day, depending on the time period. The 60 is like December, before Christmas. And that includes retail transactions, somebody coming in to buy a set of strings or a whole guitar, as well as the lessons taught. So parents dropping off kids for lessons. So that's the total average visits per day. The average transaction value you can see in the upper left is about $80. So we are not a convenience store. We're not Dunkin' Donuts. We're not somebody who runs in, plunks down $5 and goes off with a cappuccino or something. Any questions about the data before I go sort of rushing past?
No, keep going.
Okay, yep. In terms of who we serve, this is a plot of 200 random students that we teach. You can see it's clustered right around Littleton Center. So as we were looking for a new location for our store, we wanted very much to keep it in Littleton. As you're aware, there's not a whole lot of commercial space in Littleton, even less that's affordable. As we look around, the only independent music stores, mom and pop music stores still surviving are ones that own their own premises. So when the Weber property came available, it said to us, this is our real hope of survival. This is what we want to do. Okay? In terms of the history, so I think Sherry Gould mentioned a little bit about the history of the Weber business. It's been a horticultural combined with a retail floral arrangement business for decades and decades, almost 80 years. Established in 27, 28, somewhere in there. This is what it looked like in about the 1970s. The building is very much like you see it here today. We would anticipate keeping that building essentially as you see it here the same way. So we're not expecting a lot of difference in appearance, difference in footprint, anything like that. The building as it exists will serve our purposes very nicely. Okay, so we have to talk about site, but not the building. Yep. Just a couple more random photos. The Webers, Patricia was very gracious, let us come through her house, and one of the things that she showed me was a magazine from 1962. This is her living room. It looks exactly the same way today. A little different color paint. Other than that, it's the same thing. So keep on going. I don't know if you can see, is this the one with, no, okay, so that's the building before they added the retail wing. So there's now another, 30-some feet of retail wing to the right with a full basement underneath it. And we'll be using all of that, yeah. In the center bottom, the little kid there is Greg Weber. Those of you who know Greg, that was when he was 4. And the house still looks exactly the same. The floor plan is exactly the same. Yeah. Okay, this is what it looks like today. We will be using the same footprint with the exception of, I'll point to this one, there is what I would call a display greenhouse that was built out front since that postcard that you saw. We will not use this. I've been advised that it is permitted and constructed as a temporary structure. It has no foundation, it has no slab, it's a pole barn, and it was permitted by the town as a greenhouse temporary structure. It's not even legal for us to move into and use. So we'll probably be taking that down. That makes the building look exactly like the postcard again, and that's the way we'll go forward. Yep. Okay, so site-wise, you've already seen the larger print. This is the satellite view. The thing in the circle is the Weber property. The big thing sticking upwards is that large greenhouse. Greg Weber tells me there's a market for antique greenhouses just like antique barns, and he anticipates that he will sell it to somebody who will come in, dismantle it for all of its value, cart it somewhere else, and re-erect it as a marvelous museum piece greenhouse. So we're expecting that will happen at some point either before or after closing, but we're not buying the greenhouse. The property lines that are proposed cut right through that greenhouse, so there's no reason to have it there. There's sort of an earlier version. That's the recorded Registry of Deeds version of the lot plan that you see in front of you. Okay, this current status. We made an offer back in July to Patricia Weber. She accepted that. As we've said earlier, the exact lot lines for our piece of that property are still being negotiated. And as Sherry said, the Board of Appeals has issued a special permit for our continuing mixed use. We will continue it as residential and retail mixed use. And the Board of Health has approved a waiver for the existing septic system, which was very nice. It was like over-engineered. It's a 750-gallon-a-day, 5-bedroom, plus a bit of a store septic system, perfectly legal on 5.5 acres, not conforming on the 1.5 acres or whatever they're going to sell us. So that's why they had to go to the Board of Health for a waiver. Same septic system, same land, just the lot lines changed. Okay. Now, this is, let me give you each a copy of this. This is the proposed Lot A, which Patricia is proposing to sell to us, superimposed over a satellite photo of the area, so you can see what's actually there underneath the print. If I point out a few things, this is the big greenhouse that will be gone by the time this all settles, all the dust settles.
Thanks, Ben.
The existing septic system is over here, and we managed to draw the lot lines to include that without any kind of a setback issue. This is an in-ground pool, which will be decommissioned and removed, turned back into green space. This will all be green space, and so the building that we are continuing to use is this here with a very small, you might call it a hobby greenhouse, just because Andre has kind of a green thumb and we probably want plants in the store just to show them off. There's a nice greenhouse there, we hate to tear it down. So that's our plan for the physical premises that we want to use, okay? In terms of the footprint of the building, I don't know if you folks care, you're more site plan than building permit. This is the area of that large building that the Webbers currently use. The yellow is what they use for their business, along with storage down in the basement that I've drawn off to the side. And then moving ahead, we would intend to take the first floor of the house, which at the moment is Patricia's personal apartment. Back in the 60s, in that magazine article that I showed you, that's when they divided the farmhouse into a two-family up and down. So on both levels, there's a full living area, kitchen, bathroom, and so forth. Patricia has been living downstairs with Philip, her husband, until he passed away a few years ago. But we would take over that entire first floor as retail, so the amount of retail showroom space expands significantly. When we get to the parking question, we have a question to the board that you saw our large ticket showroom floor. The bylaw that says for every square foot of showroom space you need 2 square feet of asphalt doesn't make a whole lot of sense for us. We would be paving over a lot of the permeable surface that you want us to leave, right? So let's talk about that in a bit. But anyhow, so most of that is showroom. There's a repair workshop you see. The lower level will be lesson studios, little 8 by 10 private lesson studios, and some office space. That display greenhouse in front will be going away. Okay? All right, another table for handouts. Now we get to talk about parking. Obviously, for the site plan, this is probably the most significant issue that we will have to work out between us. Okay? The Weber business right now has about the bylaws would say they would need 16 spaces. They have easily that and more. They have in that lower lot that you saw in the satellite photo, they would have about 13, and then they have, I would say 5 or 6 up in the top driveway area that they have been using. Now, according to the bylaws, if you add up everything that we would need according to the literal reading of the bylaws, you would require us to have 30 spaces. And if I think of that, if I calculate right, that's well over a quarter acre of asphalt. Based on the actual store visit figures that I'm showing you, based on my observation of how much of Bob Moran's parking lot our customers tend to use, that nowhere near that is necessary. Now, if we're required to do it, I guess we could do it, and we can talk about impermeable space and so forth, but we can talk about that in a moment. In terms of practical, what do we actually use if I'm overly generous to the parking lot? I can only add up that we need in the low 20s of spaces. And that's if our business even grows to occupy the full space that we're talking about, where at the moment, for example, all of our lesson studios are not utilized every day of every week. Okay? So I don't know how we get to that discussion, but I'll zoom through this and we can come back to it. All right, which brings us, this is our last slide really. Open items are things that we recognize that we have to deal with to come to you with a fully baked site plan for review. And we'd be very interested in discussion and your comments and direction to us going forward. Obviously, the required number of parking places, okay? Screening in the sense of, the bylaws say I need, 5 feet by 3 feet of shrubbery between parking spaces and roads, that kind of stuff. I'm really going to have to do that. the question of permeable parking lot surface. One of the things I noticed in the last discussion about the stone yard was one daren't park cars on permeable surface. The bylaws refer me to the best practices manual. The first thing in the best practices manual is please use permeable surface if you can, and only use impermeable surface and dry wells with grease traps in a retrofit when you can't do anything else. So I'm getting mixed messages, and we could really use some direction for our engineers going forward as to what you'd like to see. Natural stormwater management. If you could give us some direction about how do you view, let's say, a multi-chambered grease trap dry well versus grassy swales, shrubbery, that kind of stuff. Which should we be coming back to you with? Okay, we'd like to, we are, believe me, we get it with respect to the aquifer protection zone and sort of green ways of dealing with this. Andrea has a degree in sustainable technology. Okay, she's taken coursework in this, and she did it because she was interested in it. So we're not going to fight you. We're interested in what you would like to see from us. Parking lot lighting, how much, and there's all the rules about shadows and stuff. I'll just go through the list, and then we can have some discussion maybe. There's the natural state rule. I'm before you with a permit application for greater than expected, or less than expected land left in a natural state. I noticed that there's no definition in the bylaws of what that means. This has been a farmhouse with a lot around it for 150 years. Is that not natural? Are we going back to the Indians and forest? I don't know. So tell us what you expect, please. Recurring theme here. The next to last note is an interesting one. You saw in the satellite photo in front of you, there's a very significant existing asphalt parking lot with an older style dry well drainage system on it. We're getting into the winter season. By the time we get all this settled, there may be snow on the ground, and I can't do site work until the spring. So if I can move into this premises with permission from the board to use the existing parking area, if it's close to the right amount of space, then I'm sure the sellers, because they won't be doing site work on any possible back development either, they would be willing to give me some sort of easement to use the parking lot until they need the space. Right? So I'd be interested in your feedback on whether that is a possible arrangement. And then finally, honestly, I'm not quite sure where the planning board versus the building commissioner and so forth comes down on ADA issues, signage, and, to whatever extent we have to address those issues in our site plan as well. So that's kind of the whirlwind tour of what we're hoping to accomplish. And at this stage, we're really coming to the board with the question of, we'd like to satisfy the town, we'd like to satisfy the board. Give us some direction for the homework we should do before the next meeting.
I would like to say that for myself, the less amount of parking you can get there, the better. Minimum that you need. Permeable paving, I like that idea. Swales, I like that idea. Lighting, only the minimum amount you need, and low and no light trash and as much green space. Green space is beautiful.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other comments from the
Love
board?
it. That's what we were hoping. Yeah.
No, this is aquifer or water?
It's both, actually.
Both?
It's aquifer district.
I mean, the most stringent is the aquifer district.
What's your percent impact?
So that's,
We haven't, they'll come back to us with that.
well, the upper end is
I can't
30.
tell until you tell me how many parking places I
No, I'm
need.
just saying the upper end is 30%.
That's right.
The upper permitted end, yeah.
Yeah, that's tight.
It is, and if we get some permeable paving, that
So
qualifies it.
that's where you lose me. Our bylaw says any spaces over 7 have to be paved.
Thing is,
We're
Mark,
in a water resource district.
is-
The water's gonna go through it and go without being.
when was the
treated.
last time you took a course in permeable paving?
At the bottom,
I took one last winter at UMass, at University of New Hampshire. It works.
No, we're not talking about the science. We're talking about, are you saying we should waive
parking,
bylaw requirement?
Yes, to allow permeable paving.
we don't have it. It's not in our bylaw right now. Our bylaw says pavement. Anything over 7 spaces has to be paved.
We already have a precedent downtown. on the IBM property.
I don't think that's...
No, we
Permeable
didn't.
paving.
We put cobblers in there for the look.
That's-
There's not even anybody parking on it.
That's permeable paving.
Well, no, I would argue that it's impermeable, but that's not for here. The point
Excuse
is,
me, could somebody give me a reference in the bylaws to the 7 parking
Yeah, I'm trying to
lots?
find it.
it's in our bylaw.
I've looked through, and that's one thing I haven't run into, so that's okay.
Our bylaw says every parking lot you build over 7 spaces has to be paved. With-
That's, right, it doesn't say those words, but it says that the planning board will do site plan review on any parking lots over 7 spaces. And you've always required,
Oh, it doesn't say it has to be paved.
right. Going to the last question, it's the building department that does ADA and exterior signage, your application.
Those are both building department
Right.
matters,
Well,
okay.
Right.
So the planning board, from the site plan perspective, I imagine you worry about ADA accessible parking spaces.
Correct.
Right? But nothing within the building structure itself.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, looking at all of these, number of spaces, do you have, you said, my guess is he's going to ask for 24, do you have an issue with that?
I don't see a problem with it, reducing the amounts, but something came up a while ago about parking spaces and a fee associated with those parking spaces, and we waived them a few times or once, and then I realized the amount of money that we were giving up to the town coffers. I would like to see that you build 24 spaces, but if 30 is the number you're supposed to have, then a fee for 30 spaces should be paid, but we allow you to have 23 or 4. And it's not a lot of money, but it's money that goes into the coffers.
Do we do that?
Can we? That's what I
Do
just
we
made a
do that?
suggestion.
We've never
Have we ever done that?
We are supposed to charge, or we have the ability. Is that right?
We waived the last
Is that
time that
correct?
came before
We
us
have to go
was
back
the
and look and
pottery.
see how.
No, what I'm saying is, if
And we
you're
waived
saying,
that.
hey,
You guys waived that.
statutorily, it would be 30, but we're gonna give you 23, but you're gonna pay us for 30? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
They're asking for something.
That's pretty good. That's,
They were asking for something that would
Okay, well,
help them.
let's set that one.
It's not a lot of money. It's like $110 a
It
spot.
sounds like the 24 parking spaces, or whatever number of parking spaces you need,
I'd like to see the
I
lesser
sense that
numbers
it would,
also, but-
it would work with the board.
Okay, given where the parking lot is now in relationship to King Street, what do you think about screening?
Well, so I was going to say, job well done on your presentation.
Thank you.
I
We've been
like,
trying to find the issues so we can
yeah,
come
no,
before you.
and you did it well. I like the idea of the 24 spaces behind the building as opposed to out front.
Well,
with
there's
the
no
existing.
space out front anyhow.
Well, it changes the lot and makes it better, so I think it's a good idea. I like the way it looks. I'm in favor of pervious paving as well. Swales, the more green space we can have, the better.
You're in favor of pervious paving, okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
well, pervious pavement, we're talking gravel.
No, they make
There are
asphalt as
many,
pervious.
I know, it's
Yeah.
it's at
It
Walden
can be-
Pond. I mean, you can do it.
It can be asphalt, it
It's
can be
cheap.
pavers,
There's all sorts of solutions.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, it doesn't have to be,
We can discuss what the
Paving.
parking area actually is consisted of, right?
Yeah, we can get to that, but
screening though, I think he'd only have to address, if the subdivision went through, I think we'd have to address the backyard, right? He wouldn't necessarily have to screen,
yeah, just the side lot in the back.
it's a side lot in the back.
So not King Street. And if
Doesn't
the
appear that you
subdivision
need it.
happens, then really the burden of that would
Fall
fall
on
to a
that.
great extent on the developer of the subdivision, because
Correct.
they're the ones who are creating the necessity of screening. I mean,
You
perhaps we
never
would come to
pushed
some...
off a commercial landscaping requirement on a residential development, though.
Good
So-
point, you guys screen it.
this isn't really commercial, though.
Well, but it could be a business arrangement between us and the developer. They still need our permission as a butter to do whatever they're doing, and, fine, that we can solve.
They don't need your permission.
So you might, do you want a landscaping, some
Yes.
landscaping shown on the site plan?
Yeah.
Well, he's going to do it with the swales and everything else. So, yeah, as much green space as you can create and as much
This site-
landscape detail as you can give us.
Yeah, this site plan shows a significant amount of paving gone.
Well, this
that
becomes
right?
the road coming in.
So the road would be,
No, it's right there.
You're gonna keep
This is his lot.
the parking in front of the building?
See? That's it.
Most of that parking, I think, well, because most of it's driveway. It's not, there are a few convenience parking spots in front of the building, but
And the residential unit upstairs.
Yeah, mixed use of the residential unit on the second floor.
With handicap gonna be up front?
And handicapped out front, of course, near the front door. So there may be half a dozen spots out front total, and then the bulk of it around back.
You could probably make it work.
So where,
I don't see it as a,
This is, yeah,
It's a good
this
proposal.
can work.
the footprint of the building's gonna be within 30%.
Yeah.
You should be fine.
Good.
Natural state rule, all they're looking for is the number that you're going to be at. It's
Well, but
heavy. I'll talk with the engineer.
Yeah, my request about the definition is, if you're asking me to say, am I under 30% natural state, please tell me what natural state means.
Right. And the easy answer is you're probably not, so you've requested the special permit. The board could
Yeah.
have the decision, and it's not
But
an
for
issue.
example, the lot as it exists, where you see vegetation, is that natural state or not?
oh, so you've opened Pandora's box, have you?
I'm just trying to read the bylaws.
No, I-
And
no, I
there's no
just-
definition in the definition section.
Well, it's kind of interesting. Cloverdale, it's natural state. Well, nobody's done anything at Cloverdale for the last 20 years. Now it's all trees and brush and everything else. Well, now they want to bring it back to its
Back to
natural
meadow.
state. Yeah, well, it wasn't meadow. What it is now is its real natural state. So try and keep it in the fashion of which it is presently managed, I think is as close to the natural state as you're going to get.
But I have to agree with that.
Well worded.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Your big issue's
There,
gonna,
it
your
is
big
when-
issue's gonna be your percent impervious.
That's it.
Yeah, I think
That's
that's going to be
it,
the
that's
main
all it's gonna be. Parking, you can demonstrate you need reduced parking, you're not gonna have a problem with it. It's gonna be what your percent impervious is and how you're gonna address it.
Okay, so given a target of, let's say, 24 spaces of parking, now we have a design target that we can go work the respective areas and choose materials and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, but, so, I mean, really, there's no reason to reduce parking. As a fact of the matter, he doesn't have to make it all paved.
If he,
It's not really-
so if he does do it in impervious and put the 30 in, is
You
what you're
guys are the
saying.
ones who saying he
Right?
doesn't have to make it all paved, huh?
No,
You're just trying to save him seven
No,
feet
all I'm
space.
saying is, if you were thinking about offsetting parking, reducing parking to save impervious, if you're saying you can put in, you don't have to put impervious parking in, then there's no reason to waive the parking requirement.
True, too.
That's my own
Well,
point.
other than economic feasibility for mom and pop business.
Yeah,
You know,
and
Oh,
why,
no.
why,
This is where I get back to, if this is gonna be the case, why don't we just change the bylaws?
we
have
need
do it?
to, we absolutely need to.
Put it on the warrant.
Right, let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's have a
Our
meeting.
Let's go to 250 like everybody else and
Our
call it.
bylaws are now 60 years old. We need to change them.
All
Not
right.
all of them.
No, but some of
Let's
them.
go
No,
back
the
to
ones-
like the old
most
days,
of
so
them.
you can just drive on dirt,
Some
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so
Not
yes, I
exaggerating.
think you're gonna, your minimum amount of parking spaces sounds like it'll
Why not? Park on dirt.
permeable pavers.
Here we go.
That we will now research. Now that we have some targets.
Good luck, by the way.
Little lighting as possible.
So I guess what we're going to do is, the next meeting is October 8th.
Yeah, October 8th,
Yes,
October 8th.
October 8th. So we hope to have a true site plan for you to approve.
Well, we can the site plan come in so we can get other
No.
departments to review it.
No, that's what I mean, we're trying to get it in prior to that, Mary. So-
Yeah, work,
But we need other department reviews.
Right, exactly.
yeah, work with Maren on the
Jerry's not
scheduled
gonna be here
things to
the
go.
8th. Do you wanna push the meeting to the 15th?
The second to last.
Second to last item.
Oh,
Oh, the second to the last item.
Will everybody be here?
No.
No,
There'll
it'll
be
be
a
on the-
discussion when the site
Will
plan
everybody
is
be
on.
here on the 15th?
That's what I'm checking now.
Okay, so we have a specific, okay.
Okay. October 15th call for the full board.
Okay,
Are you all available that night? Because we'll have to find a different meeting room.
Is that my meeting?
I'll stick around for it.
I'm,
We lost all our members, we can use the small room.
I've got the 15th and the 8th open.
I'm available 15th.
2, you're available.
I'm fine, the
3.
15th. Jerry's
Peter,
What?
8th and the 15th, you available either night?
Hell, what do I got to do? Sure.
Okay,
So
so,
all 5 of us here for the
so,
15th.
all 5 of us for
Are you
the
here
Trying to have
15th.
some fun, you know? Just trying to have some fun.
Mr. Chair, will you leave my A&R on for the 8th, please, though?
No, we're not meeting both
We're going to meet on the 15th, not the 8th.
Meeting
Oh,
the
you want-
15th.
That's what
Oh,
they're switching.
you're not having a
because-
meeting on the
I'm not
8th as
coming
well?
on the
because
No,
they're
we're just gonna have it on the 15th, because he's,
Do you need it?
I'd like to meet with them.
no, we're doing the 15th. One.
You need the electronic
Yes.
copy of that?
Are
Mary,
we
what-
done?
What's our backlog for the next meeting?
We have,
Backlog?
Yeah, good call. You
we'll
have a
have.
I was asking
Right,
Mary
the
earlier.
A&R.
You do have some stuff.
Yeah.
I have the A&R for 80 King Street, the continued public hearings for this. We've got a new preliminary subdivision, Grimes Lane,
Okay.
Jerky property.
Turkey
Presuming that
property's
the
coming back
15th
again.
would be all right for that.
Okay, so we can, we'll go the 8th and do everything on the 15th. All right, so it is the 15th.
That's a wrap.
Now,
Thank you.
Thank you very much, that was very helpful.
I'll
Nice
take a motion
So moved, let's
Second.
to adjourn.
Oh, wow, we're voting on that?
Okay,
So moved.
thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Set the TV off.